Like that first year when I was an acquisition rep, I made $40,000, but I learned a lot. What I learned made me millions. I have 250 employees that depend on decisions I make. Batch service exploded. We just had to make a decision of like, do you want to go really big on one brand, or do you want to do all these different things? Learn systems and processes before you hire people. Learn how to do the job. If you're disciplined and buy right, you're almost never going to lose.
This is the Mr. Brrrr Show.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I got a treat for you today. The man who is sitting across from me, I'll tell you what, has made a transformation in life, not only just in business, but also with his physical, has lost 80 pounds over the last year and a half. Crazy, 80 pounds. Like, it's basically my weight. So insane what he's done for his body, but his business, he has a 9-figure evaluation on his current business in real estate. Just crushes it on so many levels. So I'm excited to interview him. One of my good friends, and I've actually learned a lot from him. Love this dude to death. So I hope you guys get a lot of value from it. And if you do, make sure to share it, because the more people listen, the more we can all grow together. So without further ado, Jesse Burrell.
What's up, bud? Thanks.
How are you, buddy?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on, dude. It's cool that you're actually on, because we go back a ways. And I remember like the first time I chatted with you, it was
at a meetup, right?
It was at a meetup.
Yep.
And I just I learned it from Pace. It was like, be interested, don't try to be interesting.
Right.
And I remember I was just like, so dude, how did you get going in real estate? And then we were kind of drinking a little bit. So you just started going off, and I learned a ton right there just from you. So let's open up with that. Just how did you get into real estate?
Yeah, real estate. I kind of fell backwards into it. I was finishing college. During college, I was serving tables and or working at a golf course, outside services. So I'm that person parking the golf carts, cleaning the golf carts. It was fun stuff, let me tell you. But then at one of the restaurants I worked at, Danielle, who ended up being my partner for a little while, she was working for a real estate investor in like 2010 to 2012. And I think I came on in 2012, 2013. I can't remember. And I was basically, the guy was flipping homes in Arizona. He lived out of California, and then also buying rentals. And that's at the crash of the market. I was basically an acquisition rep before there was really, we weren't really wholesaling a ton. It was like he's flipping or holding them, but I was like kind of the acquisition guy. That's where you could find a lot of deals on market, pre-foreclosures, short sales, just super shitty houses. Before, I'd say, the huge flipping craze and everyone doing it. And that's kind of how I cut my teeth, is I basically just like learned how to underwrite properties, had to understand repair costs, and would go look for deals. And that's how I got into it.
So you saw somewhere where you could give value, right?
Yeah.
And you gave value.
Yeah.
Right? By learning how to underwrite a deal. Mm-hmm. So many people that get into the industry, and you see this all the time, is they want to be able to do everything, right? Instead of learning one piece of the puzzle and bringing that one piece to someone else. That's what I did with Templeton. I learned how to underwrite a deal, and I would just underwrite, bring them to him. Mm-hmm. And he'd be like, no, it's not really a deal because of this, or not really a deal because of that. And then you learn, and then you can start making money off of it. Right?
Yeah, it was the foundation, and I think it's something. The guy's name was Nick, who I worked for, and the discipline he taught me. And this guy was from Israel. He grew up with a hard upbringing, and he really taught me, is like, if you're disciplined and buy right, you're almost never going to lose. And he taught me that early, and me having success down the road wholesaling and flipping really stemmed from those core values that he instilled in me, and Danielle instilled in me as well. And, you know, I was just excited to stop parking golf carts and serving people food, to be honest with you. And I was making more money doing something that was mentally stimulating. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Well, I'm kind of good at this. So it was fun. And then about a year after that, I got my license. And I started finding deals for both of them. They were like investors that were flipping. So Danielle started flipping some houses. So did Nick, or Nick was still flipping houses. And I'd just be the buyer's agent on those. And then soon after that, about 6 months in, really started learning about off-market wholesaling. And then that's when me and Danielle actually left Nick, partnered up with her now husband, Jared, and started our first like wholesaling flipping company.
Nice. Danielle Kroll.
Yep.
Shout out to Danielle Kroll. Love her. Danny. She's awesome.
She is.
Jared Vidalis as well. Got to get them on the show.
Are you going to Samsung tonight?
Yes. So I'll talk to them.
We'll all be there tonight.
Yes. Perfect. So one thing that some people might have caught, and if not, please rewind it so you guys can catch this if you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube. What Jesse said is so important. Everyone's heard it, is like, you make money on the buy.
Yeah.
Right? Something very subtle that you said that a lot of people need to really understand, that in real estate, there's this time where you just want to get a deal.
You rush into your first deals. A lot of people do that. They're like, I need a deal. I need to make money. That's when people typically lose money on their first flips, is they're so eager to get this business started that they hope for the best. And I come with a pessimistic eye when I was buying flips. Is like, what's worst case and what does that look like? And if I'm not comfortable with the deal, I'll pass on it. It was just, I don't know. I want to keep growing my money. I don't want to see it go the opposite way. So I'd rather pass on a deal and find sure things. So that's just how I looked at it, honestly.
Losing money is the worst thing you can do, because a lot of people think, like, let's say, for instance, if I have $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And I make 100% return.
Yep.
Okay. What do I have now?
2,000.
$2,000. But let's say I have a loss of 50%.
Yeah, compounds more the other way now to double it again. And
Right, because you're losing on a bigger number now.
Yep.
So just never lose money. And that all comes from the buy. So again, if you guys did not catch that, rewind it and re-listen. So important to actually know where you're buying at.
But it does happen. But to be honest with you, it's getting the fundamentals, because you can say don't lose on a buy. But how do you not lose on a buy? You really have to understand repair costs. You really have to understand what you need to buy it out, and you need to learn how to write pro forma, especially if you're buying flips or buying and holding. So like a full pro forma, and I had to do these, is how long do I plan on holding it for? What's the insurance during that time? What's the hard money cost during that time? What's my realtor fees on the front end and on the back end? What else was there? And then obviously repair costs, having a buffer in there, and then making sure that not being optimistic on the sale price. I was always conservative on the sale price. If I made above, dude, that was awesome. But like, I would always be as conservative as I could on all of those things. And I would go as far as calling the, insurance agent and the hard money, figuring out exactly what the cost is going to be and putting those in. Is it from close to close? Because you got to remember, it's not just the repair time. It's when you close on it to when you close on it again.
Right.
What's that time frame? Is it 4 months? Is it 6 months? And people be like, oh, well, people just don't think it through. And understanding how to write up a pro forma and all of the fixed costs that are going to be in there, you need to have those things.
And then have like a little fudge.
Yeah, like that's just a contingency fund. I would normally put about 10% in there, plus or minus.
Yeah.
Or plus, not minus. Minus never happens. You've flipped houses too.
Yep.
What
I would always do is if I thought I was going to get it done like 4 or 5 months, I would factor in holding costs and all that stuff of like 2 or 3 more months just in case. Because then if you factor that in,
right,
and you actually finish it in 4 months and you factored in 7 months
more money.
Yeah, it's just setting everything up front is huge. Huge.
I agree.
So you did, you were a golf guy.
Yeah.
We still haven't played golf together.
I know we need to.
You say you're good, but I don't know if you really are.
I mean, I can show you my handicap.
So golf, cleaning carts, cleaning the clubs, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you went to being an acquisition guy.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was cool to be an acquisition.
Oh, for sure.
And then you started flipping houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and Danny and Jared partnered up, right?
Yep.
So then after that, let's talk about kind of that falling out, how that happened and why it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, they started dating. Like it's pretty. They're now married, and it's once they started living together, I guess it just got a little harder, and we each wanted different things, and they wanted to kind of grow their rental portfolio and grow that, and then having multiple partners and just splitting up the pie. It just made sense for them to go do their thing, and me to go do my thing. And to be honest, it was tough at first. Any breakup is tough. It's like a divorce of a business and partners. And it sucked for a handful of months, and they're two of my best friends still. But yeah, there was a 6 month, 2 year span to where we kind of had to work through feelings and just like everything. But I'm just so proud of all the success they've had, and I know they're proud of mine. So it's just a great relationship, and they both taught me so much, and that's what I really go back to. Is both of them showed me what it was like and the work that it takes to be truly successful. And that's probably the biggest thing I took from both of them is their grind is incredible, and
100%.
They instilled of like, this is what successful people do. This is what it looks like. I hadn't owned a business before. They really hadn't either, but they're both just grinders, and they always push me to want to do more. And the level of expectation of what it takes to be successful is there's a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifices you have to make to get to where you want to a lot of the time.
100%. So they instilled that in you, and then you stumbled upon your next business venture and your partnership.
Yeah.
So that's with Annie and Evo. Shout out to Annie and Evo. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, how that happened.
Yeah, I went wholesaling on my own and met them at a mastermind, and we did a lot of cold calling at the time. And Evo, my now partner, was just like, hey, I found this great new data source. You should try them out. And it was really good. And long story short, I had a lot of friends in need looking for good data, and we kind of created just a skip tracing company off that to where people could go, submit lists to us, and then we provide the phone numbers for the homeowners, and they'd, reach out to them. And then from there, it really exploded, and we were just crazy people and decided to make a huge real estate technology company. Now we have 4 product lines, 250 employees, and it's been a crazy 5 years. And that's the short version of it, I suppose.
Yeah, because that was end of 2018?
Middle of 2018 is when we started it, and that was with batch script tracing. Then soon after became batch leads. Then we added batch dialer, and now we have an enterprise side with batch data. But it was fun. We continued to real estate invest up until like the middle of 2020, which is a regret now because of just the boom. But that company also, the batch brand, batch service exploded. We just had to make a decision of like, do you want to go really big on one brand, or do you want to do all these different things? It was also tough, like competing against your clients.
Yeah.
And we just ultimately were like, we want to support the community, be a part of it. Obviously, we buy some rentals and stuff here and there, but actively as my active income, real estate investing hasn't been that for the last couple of years at all.
Yeah, it's just the technology side.
Yeah.
So what's the old saying? If you want to become a billionaire, help a billion people.
Right.
Right? Which is kind of the model you have taken instead of doing the real estate investing where you're limited on how much you can do, right?
Yeah.
Now there's no limit to how many people you can serve.
Right.
Right? It's just how many people are actually in the real estate space. You can serve all those people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I admire what you guys have done is you took something that helped you.
Right.
That's all it was at first.
Yeah, we were just helping ourselves. Even with our other products, we weren't happy with the technologies in the real estate space, especially the real estate investing space, because that was our niche. And we wanted to go build something better and give a better experience to the customer. And being able to lean into what we needed and wanted, it's helped us be able to really build something that people desire and people have success with. So it's been really rewarding when someone comes up to me and is like, I've used you, that's all I've used, and you've helped me get my first 20 deals. Now, I'm obviously not helping them do the work or coaching them, but it's nice that we have a part in people's success, and it means a lot to me.
100%. And then you've got a lot of people pushing the product because it's a good product.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's been awesome. Like, I'm so grateful for so many people that have supported us, a lot of the big coaches, a lot of the big names in the space, and we wouldn't be where we're at without them either.
Yeah. I've thought about pushing it, but I'm like, I don't really use it because I don't really do real estate anymore.
Right.
So it just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, you have a similar journey too. You started here and found this other thing that you were really passionate about, and you lean into it. And I still know you do some real estate part-time and on the side, but it's something in a skill set you'll always have too, where it's like, hey, if whatever reason, or you get bored of that, or you want to expand on to your wealth, like, you have a great tool to do that.
I think too, when people know you're in the space for real estate, like anyone who knows you, and I'm talking about like actually knows you, friends, family, things like that. They know you're in the real estate space. If they need to go sell a house, who they probably gonna reach out to?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They'd ask you, or they'd ask for your advice, and then that might be a deal down the road. So it's always good getting in that space and then just having some sort of business that intertwines with it, right? Which yours does. So I love what you guys have done. I haven't been in the new office yet, though.
You haven't?
No.
Oh man,
I hear just amazing things.
it's big.
There's like a golf simulator and just crazy stuff, right?
It's pretty cool.
So yeah, we'll have to go. I got to get there. But
I thought you'd been. That's weird.
it's been about a year now. You guys have had it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then where is it at?
South Tempe.
Okay. So people listening in Phoenix, if they want to take advantage of batch services, how do they do that?
What do you mean?
Reach out to you
Yeah.
personally, go onto the website.
Yeah, you go on the website. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram. It's my first and last name.
And what's the website?
It depends what product you want. You can go to batchservice.com. It's a catch-all website. It shows all the products that we have there.
Perfect. So go to, one more time,
Batch Service.
Batch Service. Go there, check out all the stuff that they can do and see what works for you guys. Maybe I'll have a promo code in there somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll check if I can get a promo code and we'll put it in the description.
We definitely.
But
can.
cool, dude. So you guys crush it in the software space. Let's talk a little bit about your journey with your weight, because I know when we first met, dude, unrecognizable to who you are now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of how that got out of control, because you weren't always out of shape.
No, I was not. It started with, I guess, the entrepreneurial journey. Is I was broke and I wanted to go make money, and I didn't really balance my life very well. My focus really was on making money, honestly, or providing value to customers, or however you want to look at it. But my focus was very much business oriented, and I feel like disciplines and habits I'd had in the past, because I've been in good shape. I've yo-yoed a lot my whole life, to be honest with you. I've been chubby, I've been ripped, I've been chubby again, ripped again, and then I just got fat. And that's when you met me. Just completely let it go. And it got to a point where because I gotten chubby and skinny multiple times, I knew the work it was going to take to get in really good shape. And I just was like, don't really feel like doing that right now. And I think I let myself go a little further than I should have. And I woke up one day and I was like, enough is enough. I was like, I was unrecognizable to myself. And I felt like a fraud a little bit, because I have, this expectation of people to push themselves and be disciplined and do all these things. And on the business side, or actually in your life as a whole. And I was neglecting a huge part of that. And I was embarrassed, to be honest with you.
So when you say unrecognizable to yourself, is that one of those things where you look in the mirror and you're like, who in the world am I actually looking at right now? This isn't me.
No, literally, I was like this, yes. I was like, I don't recognize this person, because that's not what I've looked like. And I was embarrassed and I was ashamed. And I also, for some reason, held on to some stuff for being the best version of myself and deserving it. And I think that's kind of where I self-sabotage myself. I was very happy with my self-development, very happy with where my business goals were. And for whatever reason, I didn't believe I deserved to have all of it, to look good, to feel good, to be mentally good, and financially good. And I still don't fully understand why I've unpacked some of it, but for some reason I self-sabotaged myself, and I think that's where I did was on my weight and then I woke up one day and I was like, no, you're going to be the happiest version of yourself, the best version of yourself, and you're going to be proud of that. And if people don't like you, they're probably jealous.
I love it. You did something that I try to practice in my life a lot, and I look at your life as almost like a thermostat. Think about this room. It's set to maybe 72, 73. Right, that feels amazing. But let's say it's set to 73, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's going on outside this room, the AC will regulate it to be to 73.
Right.
It could be 100 out there. It'll regulate it to 73. If it's 30 degrees out there, it's going to kick the heat on and it'll bring it up to 73, right? So like our lives are kind of like that as well. Like our expectations, what we think we are worth is kind of like that thermostat, right? So if you're a 73 and then all of a sudden you're crushing it at like a 99, you're going to self-sabotage yourself to bring you back down to that 73.
It's a good analogy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Like if you're down here, you'll do what you have to do to get up to 73. But
Right.
you see what I'm saying? So you basically realize like your thermostat was somewhere where you're like, screw this. Like, no, I'm better than 73.
Yep. That's
know
a good
what I
way to
mean?
put it.
And I commend you because a lot of people can lose weight. It's not that difficult. Eat less, move more. It's really not that difficult.
Right.
But keeping it off is.
That's what I've been most proud of. I think at the beginning of the show, you said like a year and a half ago is more. Yeah, I guess I really finished getting all of the weight off probably a year and a half ago, or most of the weight a year and a half ago. And the hardest part is keeping those disciplines and those habits and keeping it off. And I feel like I've changed my lifestyle and how I think about food and exercise and all of it together to where I think I found something sustainable. And there's times where, you know, me and you both have talked about this to where you'll slack off a little bit and it's not like we're chubby, but we're like, all right, it's time to get back on it.
Yep.
It's time to have, basically I call them hell months. And it's like, you know, you're going to be super disciplined with all of it because you've been not super disciplined with it for, you know, a month or two, or just traveling and enjoying the fruits of, you know, our success and wanting to enjoy some of the hard work. And sometimes it's going to be some meals, a little bit of alcohol, and some travel. And it's tough to be super disciplined when you're doing those things, or want to be even.
Right. Yeah, for me, it was a hell morning. So like last night, I had dinner with my wife and her dad. So we went and got pizza. I had a little bit too much. Whole bunch of ranch on that pizza.
Right.
So this morning, I'm like, I'm going to go a little extra on the Stairmaster. I did 90 minutes on that bad boy.
Nice.
Just drenched. But that's what you got to do sometimes. You have to always look at like what you're worth and what your expectation is of yourself. And you basically said, look, my identity now is I am a fit person.
Right.
That's my identity.
That kind of was what it was, and that's why I don't know how I got so far away from it. That's why when I said I looked in the mirror, I'm like, dude, like I played sports growing up. I looked a certain way. I wasn't always shredded, but I didn't look like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like, it's so embarrassing. I look back at pictures and people are like, wow. And like what goes in my head, I was like, they're like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, why? I was like, I let myself look like that. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, don't be proud of me. You should be ashamed of me letting myself get there. Like that's how hard I am on myself. I'm just like, what were you doing? Like I really believe I'll never get back there, but to me it's embarrassing, to be honest with you.
It's made you who you are, right? That's a setback in life.
It is, and you know, the journey going through it was fun, and I'm proud of how hard I worked to get back to it, but getting there is where I struggle to be okay with.
Yeah. Letting yourself get to that point.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember there was a time, gosh, I think it was last year, where it's like early morning and usually people aren't up when I'm up.
Right.
It's just,
I mean, you go to bed. Like I text you at 6 p.m. I'm like, I wonder if he's awake.
yeah, basically. But like you were texting me like 5 in the morning and that was never something you would do. You'd always be like 10 o'clock.
No.
You'd FaceTime me. You're like in bed. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Maybe not that aggressive. Maybe like 8 o'clock. But
yeah, like I've never, not since I started working, is like never really before 8. But yeah, I could be slow moving maybe. Or weekends, I don't drink very much anymore too. And that's the biggest thing is I'd be in bed or be lazy on the weekends if I drank. And you know I don't drink a lot. The last few times we went out, I haven't drank.
Which is crazy. You usually get hammered.
Yeah, I sure did.
Like I remember like 5 a.m. you're texting me. I'm like, why is Jesse texting me right now? And you're like, just so you know, and I think you included Raph on it. You're like, just so you know, I'm going to be the most shredded guy in
remember.
real estate. And I was like, dude, I love the confidence, but I'm thinking I'm pretty shredded.
Right.
And I was like, but now that I think about it, you're probably as in shape as I am, maybe a little more right now.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty consistent, but it took a lot of hard work. But, you know, the success I've had in business is because I'm very hard on myself and I have a high expectation of me. And that's kind of what I did for the eating and the fitness. But I mean, shredded's done in the kitchen. You could be fit and be in good shape.
100%.
Shredded, and that is the hardest. Like me and you struggle with that. I know probably equally is like we like to eat.
I love food.
I love food.
I love ice cream. I love pizza. I
Pizza's
love
my
burgers.
weakness. Yes.
I like bacon. I like all the things.
But
Everything that tastes good, I love it.
same. And it's hard. Like it truly is hard. But that, like, to your point, if you indulge yourself last night, you make up for it the next morning. You can't indulge yourself and then just be like, oh, like I'm good. Like that's when it compounds the opposite way. Like, okay, I did this. Now let's make up for it, or let's punish punish isn't the right word, but let's work those calories off. Let's do a little bit extra because, you know, I probably went a little bit harder than I should have last night on the pizza and ranch.
I went a lot harder.
Still in that carb coma, huh?
Pretty much. But a guest I had on, Sean Finnegan, said, when priorities are in line, decisions are easy.
Agreed.
So, like, perfect example. My priority is to stay in good shape because I think if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. If you are on your deathbed, you can't work. You can't spend time with your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your health really should come before a lot of things. Most people put it secondary to almost everything.
I agree.
So my priority is to stay in peak, as close to
Good
peak
shape.
as I can.
Real good shape.
Yes.
Let's go with real good.
So that's my priority. So the decision this morning to get up at 4 a.m. and bust my tail on the Stairmaster, it was an easy decision,
Right.
right? So I just love that. When he said it, I'm like, dude, that is so spot on. When priorities are in line, decisions are easy.
Well,
and that comes with anything.
I think with especially your food, if I could give any advice to someone that wants to do better, isn't really happy with their eating habits is, especially if you don't have to be successful, but if you're already successful, treat it like a business. Like you have to actually have a plan. Like you've been on macros forever. Like you need to plan out what you're going to eat. If you do not have a plan to get in better shape or sustain that, it's really hard to do. Like, when you don't know what your next meal is, you don't know how many calories you're going to have. You don't know if you're going to get too hungry. Like Monday through Friday, I hired a nutritionist. We macroed out like 20 lunches and 20 dinners, and then we have like 3 breakfasts that are paired up. And my mom meal preps all of my meals from my snacks to my fruit. Everything is completely portioned out. And Monday through Friday, all I have to do is not be a dumbass and eat shit I'm not supposed to. Like it is literally put in front of me. I'm not hungry at all during the day. Eat what you're supposed to, and you'll look great. On the weekends, meal prep or don't, just if you're going to go ham, as you said, you better make up for it that next week or that next day. And it's not rocket science, but having a plan has been so crucial for me on sustaining it. And it makes my business and how effective I am at work that much better because I'm not making decisions about food or what I'm going to do. I'm able to focus on the decisions I need to make to grow the business instead of the food I'm going to eat.
What's the saying? If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but people don't treat it like that. Like, why can't I lose weight? The biggest thing for me was when I did get with the nutritionist, understanding the portions I was actually supposed to eat compared to what I was eating. Because I was like, I'm eating healthier and cleaner foods. Why am I not losing weight? I was just eating too much. That was my problem. And then she's like, no, you need to eat like, this is what it looks like. And I was like, oh. It's like, that makes sense. Because I was eating a lot cleaner. I wasn't doing a bunch of fast food or all that stuff. But as you said, it's calories in versus calories out. How much are you moving? How much are you eating?
Yeah.
And it's there's obviously metabolism stuff that goes into it, but
There is. And how much muscle you have plays into it as well because your resting metabolic rate.
it doesn't change that much with more muscle. I was actually talking to Tyson Smith about this yesterday. He came into the office, and he's that young, shredded TikToker.
I know Tyson, yeah.
But it does a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's just like, dude, what is yours, right? Resting rate, and then what should you be eating, and then
Right.
how much are you working out? Like, but it's been fun. My life's way easier. Not everyone could have their mom. Thanks, mom. I love you. Meal prep
Benefits to being a mama's boy.
benefits to retiring your parents.
Let's talk about that. That's a good part.
That was a fun one.
You retired old mom and dad.
Yep.
I love the Burrells. They're great. So let's talk about when that happened and how'd you do it?
I did it through, making a bunch of money, I guess. No, just kidding. Honestly, it's just batch blew up. I've always been pretty conservative, and the first thing I really wanted to do is my parents have worked really hard their whole lives, and they've never needed a ton. So the first thing I wanted to do was as fast as the first thing I did was I started flying them out so I could pay for them to come visit me more because they're in Washington. I'm here in Arizona. And then the next thing I did was my mom had, I had a Lamborghini, and my mom had a 2002 Toyota Camry that was like breaking down. And I was like, huh. It's like maybe I had the GTR at the time, but I was like, this doesn't feel right. I was like, they've done everything in their power to make sure that I could be supported and have success in my life. And I don't think they cared, but I wanted to be able to take care of my parents and say thank you and make sure that they could have some nicer or even something reliable. Like my parents didn't make a ton of money. And so I started with a car, and I was like, here's a car. I paid for it, gave it to her. I know you've done some similar things as well. And I was like, man, that felt really cool. And then I wanted them to move.
It feels so much better than buying a car for yourself.
And then the next thing is I really wanted them to move out here. We only have so much time, and I love my parents to death, and I want to spend more time with them. My sister's out here. She works with me. She's amazing. And I just...
Shout out to Janae. Love you, Janae.
Just seeing them once a quarter or 3 times a year just wasn't enough.
Right.
And so I made a proposition. My dad was all about it. He's like, I don't want to work. But my mom had some weird stuff going on to where how people are going to judge them because I'm helping them. And
Wait, so you were seeing them how much? Once a quarter?
maybe at most.
So let's say 3 to 4 times a year.
Yeah.
How old is your dad?
They're in their early 60s.
Okay, so for everyone listening, really, really grasp this because I had this like epiphany about 6 months ago in the shower. I have like my best thoughts in the shower. I don't know why, but like
You probably just finished doing something. Your mind's clear.
anyways. So think about like your dad is, let's say 60 years old.
Right.
The average life expectancy is 80. So let's say he's got 20 more years to live. And if you only see him 3 to 4 times a year,
Yeah.
you've got 60 to 80 more times of seeing your dad.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
like when you put that in perspective, it's so important to spend more time with family because once they're gone, they're gone. You can't spend any more time with them.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what you did is you moved them out here so you could spend more time with them. So now it's what? 3 or 4 times a week, maybe more?
Well, my mom works out right before me, so I see her every day, and then she's
Love it.
obviously helping with. I see my mom. I see more of my dad. I see my mom 6 days a week. Probably I see my dad 4. Is it always spending a bunch of quality time together? No, but I go golfing with my dad every single week. We try and do a family dinner every Sunday night, and that's what I wanted. But my mom was really struggling with retiring and letting me help her, and it took some convincing to do. And I finally explained it to her. I just I started asking her about her mom, and I'm like, so if you were just obscenely successful and was able to do all these things for your mom, what would you do if she told you no? And she's like, well, that's not the case. And I was like, well, that's the case for me. Is like, she was so worried about what friends and family would think because their son retired them. To where I was like, why does that matter? Like, what, they're going to be jealous that their son was able to do that for them, or I think she was more concerned with feeling like they weren't successful enough to do it on their own. And in this time, not saying they couldn't. And it's not like they don't have any money or anything. They weren't dead broke. So I don't want that to get twisted at all. But like, I think it was like maybe a pride thing, or I don't know. My dad was all about it. He's like so proud of me. So is she. But he's like, I don't want to work anymore. Like if he's going to say like he's got us, then like I want to help and support him, but I want to go do what makes me happy too and not have to work. Like he knows how old he is, and it's like, how long can he do stuff without the body breaking down? And he's like, I want to go do a bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah, he wants to golf. He doesn't want to be working all the time.
But he loves the guitar and he learns new instruments, and he wants to pour into his hobbies. And if I could provide them to do that, and it's not like I'm giving them this lavish lifestyle or anything, but I'm able to help take care of them and pay a mortgage at a house and, help take care of a couple of the cars. It's not like they don't pay for anything, but they're good. And it took my mom like a year and a half. I would have done it a year and a half before, and she just refused.
Yeah.
She's like, well, what if this happens to you? I was like, we're good. I was like, it's just wild. So I basically just gave them my old house, bought a new one a mile away, and we live a mile away from each other, and they have a sweet house in Arcadia Light, and they love it.
Gave your dad your old SUV?
No, he bought it from me, actually. I gave it to him for quite a deal.
Got it.
There's so much I'll do, but bought my mom's car. I've been harder on my dad. I'm like, no, you pay for that. He knows how to flip houses and stuff. I'm like, you go make your own money. Mom's worked hard. Like, but
I love it.
I take care of both of them, but they did so much for me. I want to give back to them any way that I can. And I know you've done similar things as well.
Yeah. Bought my mom a house, a car, just retired my dad. It feels great. Like I said it before, like it feels better to do things like that than it does to do things for yourself. Mm-hmm. Like I recently bought a Porsche 911. Love the car. Favorite car ever. It felt better buying my mom a car than it did buying that car for myself.
Oh, for sure.
Right. One thing that you said about your parents thinking that people might think a certain way and that held her back. Mm-hmm. I think that's so important to talk on that because so many people care what other people think.
Right.
And at the end of the day, no one really cares about, to an extent, like people don't really care about how successful you are. They don't. They care about how successful they are.
Or they want to be.
Or they want to be. So they'll take your lessons to try to make the money for themselves. They don't really care about you and your success.
Most don't. You have a core group. Like I truly care and want you to do awesome. And if you're not doing awesome, I'm going to ask how I could help. Like I would do that. But yeah, for the majority of people on social media, you're a social media star these days, which is kind of cool. It's been fun to watch that.
Yeah.
But most people don't. I mean, you could talk on this more than I am because I'm not super big on social. You know that.
Yeah, most people that see me, they don't care about my success. I could flash all this stuff, which I don't do, but I could flash everything I have, and I'd attract the wrong people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it'd be people that are like drawn to that, but those people still don't care about me and my success. They want the success I have.
Right.
So they feel like if they watch me, they'll get that same success. They don't care about my success. You see what I'm saying? So most people don't care. So your parents caring what someone else thought was holding them back from living a more comfortable life.
Right.
And being closer to their son.
I know.
Right?
It drove me crazy.
And it took a while, what, a year and
a half at least. I mean, she's just so scared that, well, you're making this now. What are you going to, I was like, I have enough. Like, we're good. I'm not, like, I do have some nice things, but I've been very conservative and I've purposely kept myself deleveraged. So if anything did happen, I have enough cash flow going in to make sure all of everyone's bills are paid for. I have reserves. I've been probably a little bit more conservative just to make sure that like they are good.
Yeah.
Because they do rely on me now, and I hold that responsibility. I was going to say burden, but that responsibility of like, if I said I'm going to do this for you, I have to make sure that I could do this for you.
Right. So you have, without a doubt, an abundance mindset. Without a doubt. I know you well enough to know. Like you couldn't get to where you're at without an abundance mindset.
Right.
Your parents had probably a scarcity mindset, right?
Correct.
You've had both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk on the difference between the two and what it took for you to get from scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset.
I've always liked to help people. Scarcity, I don't know if I've really had scarcity. I guess maybe at the beginning you're more worried about like making money to just survive. Mm-hmm. And that's the toughest part to get through. Once you start seeing success, especially in the business and just networking aspect is, how could you provide value? Like that's always important. Mm-hmm. Is, like with batch and batch service, it's not how do we grow revenue? It's like how do we impact more customers? How do we attract more customers that could have success with our product? Money follows you providing something valuable to somebody in not just business, but in life as well. Like naturally, if you do something nice for someone, it's just human nature. They're going to want to repay that favor. And if you do it with no strings attached or expectations, that's when most people really get confused. Well, what do you want? Nothing.
The law of reciprocity.
Everyone complicates everything. It's not that complicated. It's just like you have to be true though. Like you have to actually want to help people. And if you don't, you're just selfish, and selfishness you're gonna expose eventually. You can only fake it for so long. But like get to a mindset to where like good things happen to good people, and there's a reason why not all, but a lot of successful people are good people.
I remember in 2020 you had said this to me. I was new in business. I had left my job October of 2019 and did pretty well with wholesaling and flipping the first like 3 or 4 months. Did like 7 or 8 deals, 0 marketing.
That's awesome.
So I think I'm crushing it.
You were.
Relatively speaking, for being brand new, I was doing well, but I wasn't.
You were doing very well. See, this is you going back to comparing. This is something we've talked about.
So here's the thing though. At that time, I remember I was like, man, I want to make $1 million. That was like a goal of mine. I want to make $1 million. I remember saying that to you, and you're like, dude, don't think about making $1 million. Think about helping X amount of people. Try to help more people. Because at the time, I think you guys had like 4,000 paid users with Batch, and you were like, dude, look, 4,000 paid users. I'm helping 4,000 people. Here's what I made. I'm like, okay. So then I just was like, all right, I just got to figure out how to help more freaking people. And that's what I did. And guess what income did? Shot up. So it's not that difficult. And I tell people all the time, figure out what you're really, really good at. And then just figure out a way to help other people with that superpower, whatever it is. And that's what you did. You figured out something that worked for you. And then you figured out how to get more people to do it. It helped them. You made a bunch of money doing it.
Just care.
Yeah.
And I try, and like I ended up running the sales training yesterday, and that is not something I do very often as the CEO anymore. I have sales managers, sales directors, VPs of sales. I have all those things, and I like to hop in there sometimes for the first 30 minutes and make sure that my voice is still being carried out by the sales team. Like all I talk about is like understanding the customer and what they want to accomplish, and how can we help them, and how can you recommend things for them to be more successful. Like that's your whole entire job as a salesperson. Your job is not to sell. Your job is to help them. And if you help them, they will want to spend money with us. They'll want to continue to work with us. I was like, this is not rocket science. And everyone complicates everything. Call someone with an intention to help them, not with an intention to sell them.
Right.
It's that simple.
Dude, I freaking love it. Because one thing that you are really, really good at is, and I've seen this at Batch, I just haven't seen it at the new office. Sure, it's exactly the same.
Right.
Is keeping a culture. The culture in Batch is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And where does that come from? From the top down.
Right.
And that's you getting in those sales meetings and injecting your voice so that your voice is the culture.
Right.
So it's always leaking down to your sales managers, the VPs. And then from there, it comes down to the next person in line,
yeah,
right?
The individual contributors or the sales reps that are actually, on the phone. And they're great. And I have 3 guys that are still with me at Batch that wholesaled with me. And this is 7, 8 years. They've been with me for like 7 years.
Wow.
Just transitioning businesses. They just trust me and they're along for the ride. And, you know, 2 of them started working with me when they're 18. Now they're both 25 and they both have houses that they own. One's trying to get their second house. And it's just like, I couldn't be more proud to see them just work their asses off. And they both make more money than their parents do.
Crazy.
It's awesome.
Young too.
Yeah, they're still getting started. They're so far ahead. I didn't make my first. I didn't even make $50,000 until I was 30 years old, dude.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you now. You're what, 38 now?
Mm-hmm.
So took until 30 to make 50 grand. When did you make your
first?
first?
I made like 100. 30 is when I made my first 100. But like before 29, I made like $40,000 or something.
So at 30, you made your first 100. When did you make your first 250?
32.
When did you make your first million?
33.
All right. So one thing, guys, that you need to really pay attention to on that is success is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It takes time. So for you, 29 years old, you made $49,000.
I know, and people are like, God, how you're so successful. I'm like, bro, you were so far ahead of me. I was serving tables and doing stupid. That's 28 is when I started in real estate, so I was just starting. But like that first year when I was an acquisition rep, I made $40,000.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot.
Yeah.
What I learned made me millions.
What does Jim Rohn say when you get a job, or what he said, he's not alive anymore, is when you get a job, don't ask what the job can do for you, but what you can do for the job, or not what your, gosh, I forget what it is. Someone in the comments, if you know what I'm talking about, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I know what you're saying, though.
What is this job? What are you becoming?
Right.
I think that's what it is. It's like you weren't making a ton of money, but you learned a ton of stuff that helped you become an actual real estate investor. Mm-hmm. Like an acquisition rep isn't an investor. They're a salesperson.
Correct.
Right? A wholesaler, in my opinion, is not an investor either. That they've got like a high paying.
A good one is.
It can become an investor. Like you talk about someone like Carlos and Sal. That's like
But they flip too.
Right. But if we just talk about the wholesaling side, that's like a business. You become an investor. I think more of investing is flipping to an extent. That's more like trading. You're buying low, selling high. I look at an investor like
buy and holds, like holding.
Buy and holds, where you have to really analyze data from what's this neighborhood doing, what's it projected to do, what's the dips, what's the risks,
right?
All that stuff. I feel like that's an investor.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-all term too, because then a developer is, that's a developer because they're just buying land, building it, and flipping it too. So I mean, I don't know. I get what you're saying though, but it's just everyone is so eager to be successful so fast, and I think that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I think what people, they come to me or you, it'd be like, what do you do? Like, I hate saying it, but it's like how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
And also it's your habits and your disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
That's, people want to go make even your first $100,000 or $200,000, or even if you're working, like there's nothing wrong working for people too. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, dude. You're doing so many different things. You're doing marketing, you're doing sales, you're managing people, you're having to learn taxes and QuickBooks and payroll and all these different things. It's not meant for everyone. And it's hard. But there's a lot of people that can make a crap ton of money working inside an organization. So it's like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you just want to be a high performing person inside a corporation, it comes down to disciplines and habits and sacrifice. If you want to go make, I don't care if you're working for someone or by yourself, $250,000 plus, you're going to have to sacrifice some of the fun things your friends are doing that are not making that money. And the other thing you have to see is during that 2, 3, 4, 5 year grind, that's when the real sacrifice happens, because you're seeing the Devons go travel, but they didn't know what he did the last 3 years to where now he could go do that. Right. And everyone has a different timeline on how fast they blow up or the success that they have. But no one ever talks. They talk about the beginning and the end. No one talks about the middle.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I see this person. They don't work as hard as they once did, but like, how hard did they work to get there? and at the beginning, it's I sacrificed so many weekends, I sacrificed my health, which was stupid, but I sacrificed a lot of things to get that success. And I told you this, I'm like a slave to my own success now because I have 250 employees that depend on decisions I make. You don't have a ton of employees. I am envious of some of the stuff that you have, of the type of income that you're making with the employee responsibility that you have.
Right, I don't have to manage 1 million people. Yeah.
But I have to, like, I have families that depend on me. Like, I have to grind. I can't go take, 5 vacations in a year. I can't.
Right.
I have a duty to these people that have bought in to Batch and what we want to accomplish that. Like, but I'm okay with it. This is the ship that I decided to row. And sometimes it drives me crazy, but at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's best for our people and our customers. And I'm still sacrificing probably more than I would like to. I would like to go do some more things and take a little bit more time off, but it's just not there yet for me.
And you're still young, dude. 38.
Yeah.
Super young. Like, there's so many people out there that aren't
but dude,
successful.
how many countries have you went to in the last 2 years, bro?
A lot.
I haven't, It's, you look at me and look up to me, and I look up to you in a lot of ways, and like how you've been able to, make a very balanced life for yourself, to be very successful and enjoy a lot of things at the same time. Like, you have more of that than me. And like, I'm happy that you're able to do that. And
I appreciate that, man. It's one of those things though. And you've said this to me many times, is like, don't compare. Like, it's the worst thing you could ever do. It's the thief of joy, is comparison. So I remember being new in the game, and I was like 7, 8 deals my first few months. And I'm like, I'm crushing it, until I started seeing what you guys were doing, until I started seeing what Pace was doing, until I started seeing what Brent Daniels was doing, and Jameel, and all these people.
Yeah, because we were wholesaling then too still, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd have like 20 deals on the board for the month, and you'd be like, and I'm like, dude, I have a whole team.
Yeah. And I'd be at home just beating myself up, like, oh, I shouldn't be sleeping as much. I should work more. And I'm like, then my life balance started really getting thrown off, and then I started spending money where I shouldn't spend money. It was just, comparison is the thief of joy.
Agree.
Run your own race. There's a reason why racehorses have blinders.
True.
This is very true.
Yeah.
It's so they cannot see the horse next to them.
Right.
They run their race.
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, anyone listening to this, if you're struggling, if you're going through, I urge you, get off social media.
Right.
Maybe stay on social media, just my stuff, but get off everyone else's, because the second you start seeing other people and you start comparing what you're doing with what they're doing, it's gonna steal your joy.
Well, I don't think you should compare. I think you should talk to these people and find ways on how you could get better, but don't compare.
Yes.
Comparing is awful, and we all do it to a point. And I try and get back to be like, bro, 10 years ago, you were a bum. You didn't have any money. Like, be very grateful and thankful for all the success that you've had. And for the people that may be having more than me, just be happy for them. Like, I'm doing me. I'm super happy. I've got to do almost all the things I've wanted to do. It's a dream come true, to be honest with you, but comparing sucks. But yeah, but seeing what you're doing, I'm not like comparing. I'm just like, damn, I wish I had more of that. And right now I don't. But like, if we make a trade, you have that. But in the future, I have a business that I should be able to sell for a lot of money. And that's my trade-off. And me knowing that as well, and be like, well, Devin doesn't have that. And he's going to be like, well, I have this, but Jesse has that. Right. And it, at the end of the day, if we're both happy and fulfilled to like doing what we want to do, this is the path that I chose. And sometimes I'm like, man, wish I had more of that. But as I said, I have too many people that rely on me and my 2 partners, and a lot of leadership, to where we made this decision. I have to see it through.
You just touched on something that made me think. When people compare and they say, oh, you've got this, you've got that, I don't. A lot of times it's not what you think it is.
Oh, like for especially on social. Like,
for instance, like me being able to travel a ton.
Right.
it's really not as glamorous as you would think. Like for me, at least, some people would love to go on all these trips and just totally disconnect and sightsee and all that. Me, I'm about 2-3 days in. I'm like, I want to get back.
Right.
I want to get back to my dogs. I want to get back to my daughter. I want to get back to my house, my cars. Like I've built this life that I actually love.
Yeah.
So when I'm away from it,
Yeah.
I miss it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't even love traveling that much. It'd be like getting 1 or 2 more in. Like Hawaii for my wedding, money. Like that was
sick.
That was just so much fun. I got to unplug. I got to be around like 50 of my favorite people in the world. And
I was one of them. Holla.
And they wanted to spend time with me. And I was like, yeah, let's go do this.
It was more so your wife. We just can't understand what she's saying.
Yeah, she talks fast. She sure does. You know, you got to actively listen with her. I'm sorry.
This is true. Read lips too. So for those of you that don't know, Erin Burrell, she took your last name, right?
Not
officially yet?
I don't know. Yeah. I think she's still like transitioning everything over.
Is she Korean?
No, she's Taiwanese.
Taiwanese. So guys, she speaks very quick and there's a heavy accent still, but heart of gold. I freaking love Erin. She's awesome. And I don't think I've ever been around that woman and she isn't like an 8 or 9 on the energy level.
It's
nonstop, bro.
It's wild.
How does she do this? And she's like 40, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Is she like that literally when it's just you two?
Kind of. Like I'll come home and if I'm drained, I'm just like, yo, I can't take that right now. I can't, like, give me 20 minutes.
Volume down.
But I've thought about this, and I would much rather come home to someone that's happy and excited than someone that is just negative. And she's always happy. She's always excited. She's always positive. If I get too much of that, I could live with that for the rest of my life.
I think this will be good. People will get value from this. You guys went through like a little rough patch, right?
Yeah.
So you guys were living together,
Mm-hmm.
and then you like made her move out.
I mean, we chose collectively.
No,
for her.
you said, B, get out.
not quite to that extreme, but
No, let's talk about like why that happened and like the reason like you guys made that decision and then how you guys caught up and got back together.
yeah, I mean, there was a lot there. It was COVID had to do with that a little bit, and just being in my house, and like my sister was basically staying with me, my dad was staying with me. But at the time, I didn't know. We just weren't clicking anymore. I was really working on, my self-development and reading and learning and trying to be a better version of myself.
A lot, dude. A lot.
But I wasn't focusing on my health. And, I would do a lot of that, but then I get home and just eat like a pig and sit around and watch TV because I was so tired, because I was so out of shape. And like I would do that, but I wasn't fulfilling that side of me. And I felt like for me and wanting a partner, I feel like she wasn't working on herself at all. And I was like, I don't want to be with someone that doesn't want to become a better version of themselves every day. And she's like, well, I don't want to be with someone that sits on their ass every day and doesn't do anything. Yes, you work hard, but you get home and you don't give me any attention. You don't care. Like, you're done. You're checked out. And some of the strain of just all the pandemic stuff. And I didn't think we could fix it being in the same place together. I thought, and I needed to see if I really wanted to be with her or if she really wanted to be with me. So we decided to have her move out, take 6 weeks, not talk to each other, figure out, kind of what we wanted. And then gather back up and really decide if we want to work on things, and we need to have a real conversation on, our deal breakers, and you're gonna have to eat it and listen to what the other person really isn't happy with, and if you're willing to make those changes or not. And that was kind of what we went through. And during that break, I wanted to how do I put this? I realized I wanted what we had at the beginning, because I was like, I just want her to be better. I don't want to go find a different girl, because like I loved her, and I do love her. Obviously, I'm married to her now, but she also had a thyroid problem and Graves' disease, and we didn't know about either of these things. So like why she was moody and why she was.
What's Graves' disease?
Graves' disease is I don't even fully understand it. It has to do with thyroid, I believe. I don't know. Someone in the comments, but and then she had like a cyst thing to where she was bleeding. Like, I don't want to get into too much, but like her health was really messed up because I was like, what changed from her? And she said she also got complacent, wasn't working on herself, but part of it was because the happy version you see of her, like I wasn't seeing that. She would come home grumpy. She was being rude. Like, it wasn't who I fell in love with. And I was like, well, I want her. Like, I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
And I also want someone to work on themselves and read and be a better version. I don't expect her to do it to the degree that I'm going to. I'm not normal. I am different than most people, and I have to accept that. But at least if she's trying to be better, pouring into hobbies and wanting to just do all those things, that's what I want in a partner. I want someone that wants to be better too. I don't want someone that's complacent, content. I don't care what it's in. It doesn't need to be business or success, or it could be just go do something and do it hard.
Something.
That's it. I mean, your wife's a monster. She is one of the hardest working people I've ever met. She
is.
She makes me and you look like clowns.
Her work ethic is something
insane.
Like, if somehow I could pry her away from Quicken Loans.
Dude, I'm going to try and do that, bro.
She's going to be working for Team Brrrr. But I'm a firm believer that nothing in this world and this universe lives in a vacuum. Meaning nothing can stay stagnant. Nothing can stay the same. Like, if we keep this water out for too long, it's going to become moldy and gross.
Right.
Not moldy, but
that goes,
you know what I mean?
Flat.
It has to move or this water will become bad, right?
Yeah.
So Erin was at a point in her life where you fell in love with her, right? She maybe built up to that point.
Right.
You fell in love to this version of her.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't grow. She stayed the same, and eventually she started slowly dying, becoming worse.
Yeah,
right?
well, I also grew.
Right.
Wider.
But you know what I mean? Like, she got to a certain point in life. She started to regress while you were progressing in one area, regressing in another.
Correct.
But, like, you loved this version of her.
Right.
If this version you loved, and she keeps working on this version,
right?
You know what I mean? She keeps getting better and better and better, and then you keep working on yourself and getting better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
That's when relationships, if it's the right person,
mm-hmm.
I believe is the strongest and most important relationship, to find your significant other
mm-hmm.
that is a true match,
right?
And just grow together.
But yeah, you have to grow together and you have to work on it, or else you start growing apart.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of divorces happen. People wonder
mm-hmm.
why. And I've really learned is like, you know, Ryan Pineda, I think, said this. He's like, marriage is a business. Like, you have to set the time. You have to plan. You have to have those meetings. You have to communicate. And, you know, we're getting better and she's getting better. If she's not happy with something, she's just going to be direct. And so am I. Like, I went up to her like a week ago. I'm like, you haven't read in a week. I was like, reading is what we do. And she's like, I'm on it.
You're right. Yeah.
Like, some people like drag. I definitely on that side drag her a little bit, but I'm okay doing that if you're willing to do that. Like, I don't expect her to read as much as me or do as much as that. We also have a 13-month-old that she is the best mom I've ever seen and spends a lot of time. A lot of her mental energy goes to that. So, like, I don't expect her, like, she's drained by the end of the day.
But I guarantee she's working on things. She's probably reading stuff about how to be the best mom.
All the time. But I need her to work on, she still has to work on Erin.
Yeah.
You can't just work on how can you be the best mom for this child. Like, she still needs to work on things that make her happy. And she goes and works out and she does the things. And I make sure, like, I need you to still have a version of you, your identity. I don't want her identity to be a mother. I want her to be a great mom, but also be a great Erin.
Yeah.
And a lot of moms, or I've seen a lot of friends, and they've struggled with some of their significant others to where they lose too much of themselves. And I don't want that to happen to her because she's awesome.
Yeah, the problem with that is if she's just a mom, right? When Zayden's 18.
What is she? She's going to be lost.
And then she'll be almost 60,
yeah,
trying to find herself. So, yeah, if she's working on being the best mom she can be, but then also working on the best Erin she can be.
Right.
You guys are going to grow together. You're going to do amazing things. Danielle and I just actually started doing a monthly meeting on finances because
Oh God, she probably yells at you every month.
no, dude, I am a financial wizard. People are like, how does this brain do this? Because I've got 13 whole life policies.
Right.
And I move money from everywhere. I've got 13 different bank accounts. We've got 4 trusts, a foundation, like everything just moves. And I just know what's happening at all times. Danielle will ask, I'm like, oh yeah, this came here. This was for that. And she's like, I'm so confused. We need to sit down and I need to know what's going on. Because if you die, I'm screwed. I have no idea where these policies are, where the money's at. So
That's
we
funny.
actually just started doing a monthly sit down, a meeting, treating it like a business. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll report back and let you know how it goes.
Yeah, we're trying to get back to dinners for us, is doing at least once a month dinner, just the 2 of us, because we do, date nights, but it's with you and Danielle and Yanir and Sam and Danny and Jared, or, Anthony and Kristen. And she's like, when do I just get your attention? So like, she's like, can you promise me once a month we'll do it just the 2 of us? And we did last Saturday. It was super fun. And just getting some true one-on-one time was really fun. But, she asked, she kind of passively aggressively like mentioned, like, why don't we? And I was just like, okay, like I get what you're saying. Next week I booked dinner and I'm like, I'll make sure we do this once a month. Like, it's important to you and I want quality time as well.
Yeah. This is awesome.
We've got super off track. I don't even know where
we
we're
could
at.
go for hours though.
Yeah.
Like, this is why we're homies. But we can't go for hours because we have to keep it to a certain time.
Okay.
But
Let's one last thing. What do we want to like finish up with? I don't want to finish up with wives. Like, let's give some more.
like
more nuggets.
what's the biggest bit of advice you'd give for someone brand new, not only just in real estate, just in business in general? Biggest piece of advice you'd give them?
Brand new? God, that's so hard. It's discipline and habits. Like, we've talked about it, but it's like learn systems and processes before you hire people. Learn how to do the job.
Yes.
I think that's really important. Like, people are like, oh, you just got in. Let's use wholesaling, for example. Go hire a bunch of VAs and have them start calling for you. If you haven't called for a couple weeks or a month or something like that, how the hell do you know if they're being successful or not? And how are you going to measure their performances? What, you're going to listen to someone else? You're going to have someone else tell you how to run your business? Like, you have to learn the fundamentals, the foundations, be disciplined with your habits. And at the beginning, don't delegate the dirty work until you understand how to do it. And it sucks. I promise you, you'll hate it. I didn't like it, but I'm very grateful that I understand and have done a lot of the jobs. So when I go ask a question, I've actually done it before.
So books on those topics, habits, good book for it.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits, amazing. I
That's
freaking love that
my
one.
favorite book. There's another one that's really good.
The Compound Effect.
Yes.
That one's amazing. Those two. Book on systems. Are there any? I haven't read any.
Systems. No, I guess process. I mean, I follow like the OKRs for my business, which is objectives and key results. So that's Measure What Matters is a great book on like how to measure your business, I guess. But
Like KPIs and stuff like that?
It's kind of an advanced version of KPIs, goal tracking, tracking employee productivity, stuff like
What's
that.
it called again?
Measure What Matters by Jim Dewar.
Great name. Jim Dewar.
Yeah, he helped Google implement them.
Wow. All right. So then book on delegating.
I'm not great at that. I don't have any. What do you got?
I don't have any either. I'm not good at delegating. I want to do everything myself at all times.
Isn't that Tim Ferriss book really good? There's
The 4-Hour Work Week?
yeah.
I've read that one. It actually is pretty good. But I don't know. 4-Hour Work Week, that seems very aggressive. I don't know if anyone could really do that.
If you had a lot of money, you could.
Well, then it's just passive. Then you just have passive income.
Right.
You're not really working. But so 4-Hour Work Week, great one. Compound Effect and Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one?
Measure What Matters.
Measure What Matters. And then just off the topic, any kind of book that you just got a ton of value from.
Fearvana.
Oh, yeah. I listened to that one after you.
Did you like it?
I liked it. It was hard to follow for a while. I had to rewind it a few times. I'm on to a new one, Fear. It's called Fear.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the author. It's like an Asian name. But that one's really good too. It talks about every fear we have stems from an original fear of when we're in our mom's womb, we're safe. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're never too hot. We're never too cold. We're in a perfect state, no fear. And then we leave our mom's womb. There's all these kind of different stimuli. We get cut from the umbilical cord, and now when the umbilical cord fed us, it gave us oxygen. We didn't have to do anything. We had to breathe ourselves. We had to eat for ourselves. We had to drink for ourselves.
Yeah.
As soon as we're cut from that, now we have to fend for ourselves. We're scared of like not having somebody, being attached and having that, you know what I mean? So every fear we have stems from that. It's a really interesting book. I'd recommend it. Fear, Thin Thought Thity or something.
The other one we've talked about a few times. I need to reread it. It's been a while, but Outwitting the Devil. I read that,
So
I think
good.
a little bit before you did. I think like Carlos Reyes recommended that. He did recommend that one to me. And then I think I recommended it to you. Someone else might have done it, but I remember telling you about it. It's just wild, like when that book was written and how relevant it still is. Like it makes me like kind of like feel weird because I'm like, this is wild. It was written like 80 years ago.
It was written in 1938. And the crazy part is it wasn't published till I think 2010 or 2011.
Yeah.
Like the family, it was the
Held
wife.
the book, yeah.
The wife held it back thinking like the reaction was going to be so catastrophic. And then even after she died, it got held back.
That's so wild.
He died in like 1970, something like that. She still held it back, didn't let it get published. She died, still got held back, and then the foundation, Napoleon Hill Foundation, 2010, 2011, finally published it. It is incredible. Anyone who's not read that book.
It's good. And then for anyone new or hasn't read, like my go-to is Go Giver. Jeez, I like. But their whole series is really good. I think it's a great book to just start working on that abundance mindset and seeing the compound effect of that. It's storytelling. I really love just like the stories in it. And the whole series, I've read all of them, and they're all very similar, and I'm sure they're just getting more money out of me with like similar stories, but I like them, and it just reminds me of, you know, what you're really doing this for, and like how you want to work with people, collaborate with people, help people, and it comes back to you. The way you treat people is how you get treated, and I think there's a little karma and stuff involved there, but that whole series is fantastic. If you haven't read it, there's such short reads. Like you could audible it, and it's like 2 hours. Super short.
Such an amazing book. We can end it on that because The Go Giver,
Yes.
one of my favorites of all time. And I am a firm believer that the key to success is giving. The more you give, the more you get, period. You look at anyone who's really, really, really successful, they give. And they give solutions like
You
batch.
give a great product, you receive a lot of value and customers from that product, which is in turn, you know, revenue or money.
That's it. Like think about Jeff Bezos, billions and billions of dollars. What did he do? He solved people's problems by giving them their products next day on their doorstep. People didn't want to go drive to the store. I hate driving to the store. Get it delivered to your house next day. Solve the problem, helped a ton of people, give. He's a billionaire. So guys,
Boom.
amazing book. Check it out. And then if you're wondering how you can give, share this episode. If you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, share it. If you are watching this on YouTube, share it. Follow Jesse on everything. What is it? At Jesse Burrell?
Yep.
Check out everything he has at Batch Services.
Batchservice.com.
Batchservice.com. And again, share this episode. I appreciate you guys. Until next time, love y'all. Peace.